Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Not my issue. Can you buzz off?
Let me add a little bit of spice to that.
The Dean's List Podcast.
No, Hamdan, brushing your teeth at work does not make you more attractive. Welcome to the Dean's List Podcast, everybody, to our new listeners. This is a new podcast. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Dean's List Podcast. My name is Bilal Abdu. I'll be your host of the podcast here. And today we have our host, Mohammed Hamdan. How you doing, man?
Good, how are you guys?
Not bad. Give us a little intro about yourself.
Well, my name is Mohammed Hamdan. And, I'm just excited to be here on the podcast with the boys. And, yeah.
Cool. And then we have our producer, Ahmed Khalil. What's up, Ahmed?
How are you guys?
Not bad. And then we have our guest today, Mohammed Yunus.
What's up, guys? Mohammed Yunus. Just a student for trying to finish school. Hopefully soon. A few more years.
Cool. And we have Ali Farhat. What's up, Ali?
How's it going, guys? Just saved the best for last. My name's Ali Farhat, and I'm excited to be here as well.
You sound excited.
I'm very excited, as you can tell, yeah.
Nothing's worse than walking into somebody, like at work, walking into somebody in the washroom and they're brushing their teeth at lunch.
I don't know what you guys are talking
Yeah,
about.
I don't know.
You never see, you guys are not working yet.
No, I've seen it.
Wait.
At Costco, when I was there, dude, people used to take toothbrushes there and brush in the sink all the time.
I seen a guy once, he has that electrical razor, he was doing it on the bus.
That's what I mean.
That's gross.
I mean, I went to my one of my
you guys laughing at
professor's
me?
office once. And, like, in his office, he's, like, on his desk working and, like, brushing his teeth on the desk. It was the weirdest thing ever. Like,
That's gross. That's gross. That's why I quit my old job, was because there was like it's not like a public washroom, but there's stalls and everything. It was the worst. If I go in there, then if there's if it could fit 5 people, if there's 2, I'd walk right out. I'm like, I can't do this.
yeah,
And
no,
make sure it's completely empty.
it's weird. But people are kind of wondering why we're talking about brushing our teeth in public. Let's talk about what this podcast is, no?
Yeah, right, fine. I will enter my rant. The podcast, everybody that's listening, this will be our first episode. Hopefully what we're aiming with this podcast is just, Muslim guys getting together. We're going to talk about current events. We're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about, everyday life, every day in our lives. And also we're going to talk about some Islamic topics here and there. We're going to have guest speakers, guests on the podcast, all the way from, we'll have some shuyukh, we'll have some professionals, and we'll try to get some high profile names down the future. And the whole point of this podcast is to tell everybody and to show everybody, that Islam is not just limited into the masajid. Islam is not limited just to praying 5 times a day. Islam is not limited just to, fasting Ramadan. True, it's a big part of it, but also Islam is in our everyday lives. And hopefully through this podcast, we'll show how Islam, it's in everything we do and everything we say and everything we watch. And hopefully through this podcast, we'll bring everybody together. And, we'll learn, you guys will learn, we grow a community through the Dean's List podcast. You guys have anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think the good thing about this podcast is, anyone can go to YouTube and just search up an Islamic talk or find a lecture or khutbah online. Whereas with this podcast, as Bilal mentioned, it's not just a lecture or anything like that. It's just a manifestation of everyday life Islam. Islam isn't just in the masjid, as Bilal said. It's everything. So just a bunch of guys, talking about life, but then also, at times if we have to give that little short Islamic lesson or reminder, it'll be there. But we're hoping that everyone has a good time, and hopefully you guys enjoy the podcast.
What do you guys have to add? Hamdan, Ali?
Yeah, no, I just think at the end of the day, we're just here to have fun.
I agree.
Hopefully the topics that we talk about are relatable, and we're going to try, I guess, staying on track with everything going on. And, yeah.
How are you guys doing with the quarantine?
Bored.
Quarantine is tough, man.
It's very tough. I thought when I first heard that we're going to be staying home and not leaving, I thought it was going to be a good time. But
I honestly
I'm kind of realizing now it's your everyday is just the same thing. That's where it's kind of getting annoying. It's just repetitive days.
Yeah, no, honestly, I thought it was just going to be like 2 weeks. Everyone stays in for 14 days and then whatever. But no, it's actually pretty serious now.
It's just repetitive. It's like every day you wake up, you're doing the same thing that you did yesterday. So
I mean, you can only play Warzone so many times till
that's what
eventually
I
you
mean.
get bored.
Like, at this point, Warzone is just, it's not fun.
I'd say we've won too many times. It's
That's
not.
what it is.
Yeah.
It's just we're so good at the
Is
game.
that something you want to tell the public? You're really good at Warzone.
Exactly. Well, I usually get carried, but whatever. I'll just take it.
That's very true. It's very true.
Yeah, with me, I've been working at home for the past, I don't know, like 3 weeks now. But you're right, that's where it kills you, just repetitiveness.
It's literally every day you wake up, you're doing the same thing. Like, I'm going to sleep at 5 a.m. Waking up
You're
at,
sleeping at 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
doing
Like,
the
it's
same
bad.
thing.
I'm saying.
Yeah, the
5 a.m.
schedule.
Waking up at 2 p.m.
Today,
It's
today
so
I woke
bad.
up at noon. I woke up at noon today, and then I went back to sleep at 2 p.m. I woke up at 5.
That's what I mean.
That's crazy.
You take like a nice nap at like 6 p.m.
Wow. But you
It's
know,
so
like,
bad.
see, the quarantine is bad, but like it's at least if you're in your house, you have like your whole house to walk around. You know, you can just kind of you have at least a little bit of space. You know, you can just chill with your siblings or whatever if you tolerate them for that long. But I mean, for me, I mentioned I'm still a student. I'm going to school, and I'm actually going to school overseas. And when I had to come back because the situation was getting worse with COVID and stuff, it was getting really difficult. So by the time I finally made it back, and I'll talk about that journey, by the time I finally made it back, I actually ended up locking myself in my room for 2 weeks, like not even leaving my room because I didn't want to risk affecting any of my family members because I had to go through like 6 different airports just to make it back here. So I don't. Do we have time to go through this now? Should I
Just go through it. Go
Yeah.
for it, man.
So basically, like
Just tell us what island you were at and why.
yeah. So
Narco.
yeah, I study medicine on the Caribbean, and I go to school on a small island called Saba Island. So this island, it has an airport, but the airport is extremely small, and it only flies to other smaller neighboring islands, and you have to go to one of the neighboring islands to fly to like Canada or the States or whatever. So when things were getting really bad, I had to like plan ahead, and I decided that I gotta leave as soon as I can before things get worse. The island itself was safe at the time. There was no positive cases, but I knew eventually it was gonna get there. So I booked my ticket. This was on Saturday, the 14th of March, and I booked my ticket for that coming Thursday to leave the island. And I was supposed to stay a couple nights in St. Martin, which is one of the major islands there, and then fly from St. Martin on Saturday. Basically, to kind of take out some of the unnecessary details, Wednesday morning I get a call from one of my friends. He was at the airport. And he's like, yo, bro, I'm at the airport right now, and they're telling us that if you don't have a connection flight the same day from St. Martin, they will not let you enter the island, like St. Martin. So you have to either get a new flight to reach St. Martin or get a new flight leaving St. Martin for Thursday. So I was freaking out because flights were being canceled left and right. You know, WestJet and Air Canada, all these airlines were canceling flights and stuff. And it was already tough enough to find a flight as it was. So I was like just getting out of bed. I packed whatever I could. You know, I packed 2 bags and just got them ready by the door. I went online, like booked like 3 tickets just out of panic, just buying any tickets I could because I can cancel them later if I had to. And then just took the first taxi I could to the airport. Get to the airport, and then buddy is like, can I see your connection flights? And then my flights, they were to countries that had already closed their borders. And they're like, because they've already closed their borders to non-citizens, we can't let you get on this flight leaving this island. So like he's like, you gotta cancel your ticket and find something else. And it was getting like, I was getting pretty worried, to be honest, because I didn't want to be stuck on that island for a long time. And then I think an hour later, I was still at the airport trying to figure things out. St. Martin calls the airport on Saba, and they say that we have officially closed down the airport, like to incoming planes, unless you're carrying citizens back home. I'm not a citizen of St. Martin, so basically the staff at the airport in Saba, they said we can't do anything for you guys at this point. St. Martin won't even take you guys anymore, and you just gotta go home. Like there's no other way out. This was Wednesday, and my flight was supposed to be for Thursday, and I had a flight leaving St. Martin on Saturday. So now I was like, okay, I'm gonna be stuck here for a long time unless I figure something out. One guy comes out of nowhere, one of the staff, he's like, listen, I know this lady that owns a boat, and I know this guy that owns a plane. So basically he's saying like you gotta like do this a different way. You gotta go off the books.
But wait, you're
This is a
still
guy
not-
you know?
You're still not in St. Martin though.
No, I'm still in Saba. This is still
You're
that
still in
same
Saba.
day.
Okay.
A guy
yeah.
you know told you he has a boat.
I don't know. I don't know this guy. I don't know this guy. So
So
this
you had
is
to like what hide packets of cocaine in your butt?
Was he just like holding a sign saying I have a
bro,
boat?
like honestly, like it literally felt like I was escaping from some kind of crime. Like it was the weirdest thing. But yeah, this just random like airport staff. Like he was being really helpful and nice. So I tried calling the lady that owned the boat because I thought maybe that'd be a cheaper option. I'm trying to save money here, and she wasn't answering. And then as I was like scrambling to look through my other options, 5 of my classmates came to the airport, and I told them the situation, and they're all freaking out too. So we called this guy that owns the airplane. He's like, listen, my airplane fits 6 people, and it was perfect because like literally 5 of my classmates came, and I was 6. He's like, for this much money, I'll fly you guys to this other island, right? So I think for the entire plane it was like 2,000 US. So it was split between
Each?
for the whole thing.
But it wasn't like a private jet. It was just like those things like the bipedal things.
Yeah,
a little
exactly.
plane?
Dude, it was so small. It's such a
Yeah.
small plane. But yeah, so we're like, yeah, dude, like we were desperate, right? Like
Yeah.
just come here as fast as you can. And then we started going online looking for tickets from that other island to Canada. We found really cheap tickets, so it worked out. But then here's the catch. He's like, you guys can only take 30 pounds of luggage each.
Oh
Oh my god.
I had 2 bags with me plus my school bag. I weighed everything. It was about 95 pounds of luggage. I'm like, this is not good. So I weighed my school stuff, like my essential school stuff only. And by the way, this is with me leaving other stuff at home already. I already left a bunch of stuff at home. So I weighed my school bag. It was 22 pounds. I'm like, okay, I need this stuff. I have 8 pounds left for clothing. Like I had nothing except for what I was wearing.
Yeah.
So I just packed like a small bag of clothing and I left everything else in the airport and I
What do
left.
you mean?
It's literally like gone. It's on the island still, but I don't know where it is.
But it's just clothes and stuff, right?
It's, a lot of
So-
it was clothing, some of it was other stuff too. Like it wasn't anything that I can't replace, but like it was just really annoying that like that was like what 60 plus pounds of luggage that I just had to drop at the airport because I had no other choice. Like either
It was
I
like you guys are going right now.
yeah, no, there was no time. Like
Yeah.
you have to go. Like one of my classmates, he wasn't even planning on flying that day. He literally told his friend who was coming to the airport, "Bring my passport from my house and just come to the airport, give me my passport." Like he was
That's
ready
it.
to leave with what he had.
Wow.
When he got his passport though, his laundry bag was at the doorway, so he just brought the laundry bag with him. So he was just literally traveling with a laundry bag of clothing. That's all he had with him.
Okay,
so-
so now you get this private jet.
Yeah, so we get this
Private
private
jet.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we flew to this other neighboring island called St. Kitts. And from there, it was like a pretty easy process. Like the immigration took us pretty quick and stuff. And then from there to Miami. So that's now 3 airports between Saba, St. Kitts, and Miami. From there, we flew to Charlotte. We spent the night in Miami. Miami was so cold, the airport. I don't know why we all froze overnight.
How long were you guys in Miami for?
12 hours. Dude, my travel specific, because the rest of my classmates stopped at Toronto. I went to Edmonton, so my travel altogether was about 36 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, so 36 hours.
You
and it
stayed
was-
in the airport the whole time in Miami?
Yeah. Cool thing is, bro, because of the COVID situation,
Yeah,
They
I
wouldn't
guess
let
so.
anybody leave.
they wouldn't let anyone leave, and no one wanted to risk leaving. Right?
yeah,
You don't want to
yeah,
risk,
yeah.
especially in the States. Like at the time, it wasn't as bad as it is now. Like now,
Yeah.
it's really bad in the States. But like the airports were dead.
Airports
we're
were
like,
dead.
Yeah, like it wasn't that busy at the time. So we're probably safer staying in the airport than leaving the airport.
I mean, it is Miami.
Yeah, I mean, no one really wants to, like, we would love to leave the airport and chill in Miami, but whatever. Anyways, like the point is, we made it back, but it was like crazy. Like it was honestly, things were changing so fast, and we actually told the guy that with the plane to come back for a few more trips for our other classmates. And some of our other classmates had trouble with immigration. So like literally things were changing so fast until now I have classmates that are stuck on the island.
Wow.
But those guys are like, if they're stuck on the island, there's really no way they could leave.
At this point, probably not.
Like they probably just have to stay there at this point.
So did you leave at like the perfect time then?
I left at the perfect time. For those that are still there, honestly, I think it might be too late because they actually got their first positive case on the island yesterday, and they announced the mandatory 2-week lockdown. So it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all.
So what's gonna happen with you now? Are you gonna go back, like, or is it just continuing? What's your what's your idea? What's your deal now?
So I'm
Like,
done
do your
from the
semesters
island.
end like us, like April?
So with my school, like we don't really have proper breaks. It's just like school runs all year round, but we have like 2-week breaks between each semester. So it's 5 semesters on the island, and the other 5 semesters are in the States. So I just finished my 5th semester. So I'm good with that. I don't have to go back to the island, but I can't start my next semester until things calm down in the States, which is going to take a while.
When's your next semester supposed to start?
I mean, in an ideal, perfect world, September.
Okay.
But like, there's no way that's happening.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be here for at least another 6 months, if not more. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's out of our control. We can't do much about
sure.
it. But I'm just happy to be back. Like,
For sure.
it
Yeah,
was
you'd rather
kinda
be 6
crazy.
months here than like at that island.
Oh yeah, I,
100%.
dude, I would not want to spend 6 months on the island. It's crazy.
Damn, Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
What an adventure.
yeah, crazy man. What about you guys? So
Well, like no story could top that now.
okay, sorry man. What am I supposed to do?
How about some random guys airplane?
The biggest adventure I've had throughout this whole thing was getting the mail, like just walking 5 steps. Yeah, like actually no, you know what? I left my house like a couple times to go like 7-Eleven and stuff, but
Yeah, like I've left. I went to Sobeys the other day, and it's when you walk in, there's a soap station, and I thought it was hand sanitizer, so I put my hand, and it was soap, and I'm going like this, and I'm walking away, and the girl's like, "Aren't you gonna wash your hands?" And I look, and it's like, and everyone's just laughing at me, and I just went and I washed them off. But when you're going down the aisles, you have to follow a path. Like you just can't cut. Like you have to go.
you have to go through every aisle.
Every single aisle.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that maybe only one like specific?
No one
Sobeys?
was. I think I was the only person in the store listening to the rules.
Oh, I see. 'Cause
Like,
I went
the
to
workers
Sobeys.
were
I
so
wasn't
happy with
listening.
me.
I wasn't listening to the rules because I didn't know that was a thing.
You went to Sobeys?
I went to Sobeys the other day and I
You didn't listen to the rules?
I didn't know that was a
Wow.
rule. I had
Sure
no
you
idea.
did it.
Honestly, all the workers were looking at me like I was like an angel. Like I was going through every line. Like
I know Costco, like you have to wait outside.
Costco, only a certain amount of people. are
Yeah, a
inside,
certain
right?
amount of people come in, and then like you can't like usually they used to take your card and stuff. Now you have to they don't touch anything that you bring
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And then it's not as bad as Sobeys as you're saying. Like you have to.
Sobeys
go
was
a
yeah.
certain
Like I
path.
went to Save on Foods too, like beside my house, and it's not that bad. Like you just
But
when you're going to self checkout
even,
and stuff, you just have to wait at the line.
But even like Sobeys and like those other places, like you just have to wait outside. Like they're only letting.
Sobeys.
Yeah, but no, but
Yeah, like Sobeys had like the things.
I've seen like lineups for other stores too. Like
Yeah.
my dad was telling me he went to like Loblaws or something, and he was outside for like half an hour.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I know when I went to Costco, I waited outside for like 10 minutes, and then like I had like reusable bags, and they're like you can't bring
You
that
can't bring
inside.
usable bags out.
So like
And
we'll
they all
give you
have
boxes,
like guards.
guards and stuff. Yeah.
But you know what? Like with all these precautions, I think it's a good thing. Some people they
Oh, for
think
sure.
some people might think that we're taking that these companies and businesses are
No.
taking it too far. But honestly, man, like
No, it's needed.
yeah, like a lot of communities are already taking it as a joke as it is.
Yeah.
And I know like in Italy, we all know like Italy was getting really bad, right? Like
Yeah.
I think it still is really bad. But I have classmates that have family living in Italy, and they were telling us that the reason why it got this bad is because the communities there like were not taking this quarantine seriously, and people were still going out for gelato and like chilling with their friends and family and stuff, weren't taking any of the rules serious, and like now look what happened. Whereas we were just talking about this earlier today, like here in Alberta, like alhamdulillah, thank God, we're doing pretty well overall. Like it's still scary, like with the amount of cases we're getting every day, but I think for the most part we're doing well as a community, and if we continue with these rules and these regulations, we'll be fine.
Yeah. Don't look at me, man.
Yeah, you're
No, I
you're
agree.
living
I was
your
like-
best life.
I have the best life.
You're just living your best life right now.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have to go outside. I
Working
work from
from
home.
home,
It's
yeah.
the best
Because you
feeling.
have the greatest social life.
Wait, Bilal, how
Thanks,
was working from home?
Really appreciate that, Hamdan. It's the best. I like it.
Yeah. Any challenges that come with working from home, you think?
Well, the biggest challenge I had from before was just because I was working off a laptop. But then I went and I bought like 2 dual screens. So now I have 3, like with my laptop and 2 screens. And I ordered on Amazon a docking station. So I'm waiting for that to come in. But like so far it's been like I'm just been adapting as I go. And then probably like I don't know, with my line of work, like my main office is in Calgary. Like the company I work for, the main office is in Calgary, and I'm the only engineer here. So it's been always like working off like through emails and on the phone and stuff. So it wasn't really like there's no change in that. I don't know. I find it pretty. The only big thing is just like honestly, I just find myself getting bored a lot quicker. Because at work, okay, Khals, you're at work, you're focused. But then here, it's like I'm getting up, I'm walking to my fridge, eating carrots, and then eating peas, and
Like the lack of structure.
yeah, it's like I'm waking like. Alhamdulillah, I try to make sure I wake up as early as I used to be. But the whole thing that threw me in a loop was just like not going to the gym. That's killing me because it's like usually before I used to wake up, go to the gym, go to Fajr, then go to work. But now it's like I wake up and I go right to work, and it's not the same.
Yeah, I miss the gym.
Yeah, the gym, man.
I miss it so
It's
much.
so hard.
Okay, I get it, boys. You work out.
No, I think the hardest thing for us is school. Like,
But you guys finished school now. Like
Well,
technically, it's over.
yeah, but I mean, the past month we've been doing everything from home, like all of our assignments. We've been teaching ourselves our courses. Like I guess like our professors have been a lot easier on us. Like some of them have been canceling finals and whatnot. But I think just the motivation to actually do stuff at home, it's not the same as actually going to school.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I feel too with work. It's like, it's other than finding the motivation to just sit down and just like go through. Like you find yourself just walking around, going to getting food from the fridge. What I do is like I put on Netflix and I watch TV as I work.
You
Hope
can do
nobody-
that.
Well,
I mean, like you can focus, like.
yeah, I just need background music, like background sound, right?
Yeah.
So usually I'd like listen to podcasts. I used to listen to World War II documentaries. Right now I'm watching Arrested Development as I work. It's like I already watched that show so many times, so I know like I don't have to sit there and focus in it.
I
Yeah.
think I watched 5 episodes of it.
It's a funny show.
What's
It's
it
not
called?
funny.
Arrested Development.
It's
I've
okay. It's
never heard of
canceled.
it.
It's not. They don't still make it.
It's on Netflix. Well, like the oldest seasons.
I've never heard of it before.
I don't know.
It's
I
really
don't
boring.
watch movies or TV. Really, I'm a loser.
All right, thanks for forgetting our spot.
You said it, not me.
What are you studying again? Medicine? Oh yeah, right.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. So, you guys hear about what happened to Colby Cave? Unfortunate news.
Really sad. You want to tell our listeners who don't know what's going on?
So, for those who don't know who Colby Cave is, what we're talking about here, Colby Cave is he was an NHL hockey player. He was a member of the Edmonton Oilers. 25 years old, and just I think it was last week. It wasn't very long ago. I think max a week ago. He had suffered a brain bleed overnight, and as a result of the brain bleed, they had to rush him to hospital and put him in a medically induced coma. And they had to do some surgeries and remove a cyst from his brain and all this other stuff that was going on. And obviously, the community and his family and friends were praying for him, but unfortunately, he didn't make it. We heard the news this morning that he had passed away, and
It was yesterday.
it was yesterday.
Yesterday morning,
Okay.
yeah.
So I mean, it's crazy though, like how 25 years old and literally out of nowhere, this guy's an athlete. He's an NHL hockey player, right? And it's not like he had any chronic health issues that were known, And then out of nowhere, brain bleed overnight. A few days later, he's gone.
It's crazy.
And it's obviously we feel bad for the family. We send our thoughts and prayers to the family and condolences, but definitely very tough thing.
Yeah, I guess it just comes to show like it doesn't matter like who you are, what your profession is. When your time is up, kind of thing.
Yeah. No, as you said, like did he have any prior illnesses or anything like that, or was it just?
I read that he had nothing. I heard that he was like healthy.
I mean, not that I know of. I've never heard of any prior illnesses.
SubhanAllah.
That's crazy. And I mean, there's a lesson and a reminder in that too. And I don't wanna make this too dark, but it is reality, right? Like the one thing that we are promised in life is death, right? And we never know when that's gonna come. So obviously, like live life to the fullest. Love your friends, love your family. Do what you want to do in life, but also remember to prepare for our afterlife, the real life that's coming. So just a little lesson and reminder there. Like I said, we send our thoughts and prayers to the family, but
Yeah, it's tough.
yeah,
Tough,
let's
sad situation.
No, it's crazy because we were actually talking about it the other day. Like, what if what if the season was actually still going on? Because the day that he died, which was yesterday, the Oilers would have actually had a playoff game that day, right? So like we were like just talking back and forth, like what would have actually happened, in the event of like the season not pausing.
That's true too. That's a
But
very
he
valid
wasn't
point.
like
He played some games with Oilers this year, but he's mostly in the
AHL,
AHL
the-
league. Yeah, he's on the farm team.
Yeah, what I was asking, like, was he like on the team?
No,
Like
he
he,
wasn't.
he
no.
wasn't like the first guy to get called. I don't think he was like the first choice to be
No,
called.
I
up
He
right
played
away.
defense, right? He was a defenseman, or was
No, he was a forward.
He was a
Forward, yeah.
He played with the Bruins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long, but I know he did play with the Bruins.
We claimed him off waivers from the Bruins.
I think that's
The
what it
Bruins
was,
waived
yeah.
him, and we claimed him off waivers.
Yeah, man. Like I know for a fact he was not like probably a week, even a day before any of this happened. He was probably not even thinking about that.
Oh,
he was
no.
like
No.
looking into when is the season going to start? When's the playoffs going to start? How are we going to do that? Was probably his last thing on his mind. Him
Yeah.
and his family.
They actually
So
set up a memorial at Rogers, for him, or what do you call it?
Yeah, Rogers Place.
Yeah, they made a what do you call it?
Like they put like I know what you're
visual,
talking
a
about.
visual.
A vigil, yeah, a vigil. Yeah.
Yeah, I know they set that up at Rogers, so it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
No, for sure.
Good stuff.
But
I think the toughest thing about it is like, even like people that are in the hospital right now, like you can't really go and visit them, right? Especially with the quarantine going on. Like there's a lot of restrictions and rules going on with hospitals. So I think it's very tough for their family, like to be able to go see him and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
yeah, I was actually reading
Scary.
something today. Like that's the toughest thing I think, because his wife was saying that the night before he passed away, her and his parents were literally talking to him through via walkie-talkie, and they weren't in the same room. Like they had to they would see him through the window, but they would communicate using a walkie-talkie, and like that's heartbreaking, man. Like you see like your spouse or your son or your daughter or whatever, like literally living their final
So
moments.
did he get put out of the coma? Like he was awake?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't talk when you're in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so
I thought it happened like during. I thought he passed away like while he was in the.
so he was put in a medically induced coma,
Yeah.
right? Eventually, at some point, he must have woken up and gained consciousness again, right? And then they had their opportunity to talk to him, and then wasn't long after that, according to the reports at least, wasn't long after that when he passed away. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. But I mean, like, let's like I said, let's try to take it as a lesson, and we never know when our time, like his time came at this specific moment, but I mean, he was 25 years old, not much different than our ages right here, right? So we should also kind of keep the end in sight, Speaking of which, we do have a really big thing coming up which can help us with preparation, right? And that is Ramadan. And this Ramadan, I think it's safe to say, is going to be very different from any Ramadan we've ever experienced. You guys want to talk about that for a bit?
Let's do it. With this Ramadan, not having, as everybody knows, the masajid are shut down right now. Like, I know Rashid, they do have a khatib going up there and doing the khutbah, and then the people that are praying are just like the essential staff members of the masjid. So I know it's only like 5 to 10 people max, and then they make sure they're like at least like 4 or 5 feet apart at all times. And then they live stream the khutbah. But now with the masjid being closed, there's no tarawih, like the stuff that we're used to. There's no tarawih, there's no fajr. Usually people eat suhoor and then they go to fajr, and then there's no dhuhr prayer in the weekends. That's like a lot of people go through that, and then like that's where the masjid does most of its programs, is like after dhuhr on the weekends, tarawih, and after fajr. So the way I look at it is that, we have two options. We could either like do nothing about it, just fast and then keep watching Netflix or Crave TV and so on and so forth, or use this opportunity to make ourselves, stronger spiritual. Like use this Ramadan as a launching pad for the rest of the year and the rest of your life. What I mean by that, it's like for me personally in this quarantine, because I'm not going anywhere, because everything is shut down, I have less distractions that I have to be committed to. So I'm like, for example, we're not playing ice hockey, we're not going to the gym, we're not hanging out, we're not going to restaurants, we're not doing anything. So I was like, okay, so this spare time, okay, I'm going to try to read as much books as I can, or I'm going to try to pray Sunnah prayers as much as I can. I'm going to commit to the 5 daily prayers as much as I can, read Quran as much as I can. So that's two ways to look at it. Like, true, we're stuck in our homes. How are we going to use this opportunity to make ourselves better and not just like, whatever, waste another, like, oh, we can't go to the gym, so what's the point of doing anything? What do you guys think with your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a very different Ramadan. Like, I guess in a sense that there's going to be less family gatherings. Like, I was actually talking about it with my family today. Like, my mom was kind of freaking out. Like, how are we going to have a Ramadan dinner, right? So it's going to be hard in that. Like, I guess not seeing your family and your cousins and your aunts and your uncles, but I think it's a good time for everyone to sit at home and I guess reflect on what they need to improve on and spend time with their family and I guess make the best out of a pretty bad situation.
Yeah, as I said, like even in Ramadan, past Ramadans, there's so much distractions when it comes to like these big family dinners. I know some people do it like once a week, some people do it every day, and then that takes away from like the main point of Ramadan is just the chance to get closer to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, right? And then some Ramadans, like people start using it as an excuse to. It's not a bad thing. Like it's honestly a very good thing to have like iftars together and stuff. It does show a sense of communion, and brotherhood, and sisterhood. But as I said, like this is a good opportunity to get ourselves away from these like distractions that we had in the past.
See, I think Bilal, you bring up a good point, but also it depends on how these gatherings are being done. So like we know Islamically, there's a big reward for feeding the fasting person, right? So if someone is fasting and you provide them with the food they need to break their fast, you get the reward of them fasting as well, and that will not reduce from their own individual reward at all. So there's definitely like a lot of good that comes with having those family gatherings and stuff. But like you said, like as long as you do it in a way where you're not eliminating or negatively affecting your spiritual development during the month as well. You got to keep your priorities straight for sure. So balance is key. And
there's ways to like still feed the person that's fasting, even though like, okay, yeah, we don't have the big dinners that we're used to. But like, for example, I know, is it Islamic Relief that's doing the Ramadan baskets?
Yeah, I think they're doing that.
So like, hopefully next podcast we'll get more information about it. But where you could donate like a basket for like $60, then like a family that's in need will get that basket, and then you could use that to break their fast, and then like you could also through various organizations help the poor people around the world. And there is more than one way to feed the people that are fasting. It's just like maybe the money that we were spending on these big dinners, instead of just not spending at all, we could turn it around and give it to the people that actually need it.
That's a really good point. Especially this just came to my mind right now. Like I know every Ramadan we have like the community iftars at the masajid and the mosques. And like I know like those community iftars help a lot of people. Like a lot of people that actually do need a little bit of financial help, right? And they kind of, I wouldn't say rely on those iftars, but I mean they do make use of them because it would help their families. That's not going to be available this year. So making use of those baskets through Islamic Relief or any other organization that's trying to offer a similar service, I think is really important, especially this Ramadan. Hamdan, any thoughts on Ramadan?
It's
yeah,
like,
honestly,
what's Ramadan?
That's when we pass, right?
The way I'm kind of looking at it is all the spare time that I have. As you guys can tell, I was saying earlier, like I really don't do much with my days. I'm either playing Call of Duty or I'm watching movies. So just more time for focusing on Salah, focusing on just kind of maybe reading Quran and stuff like that. So
on that topic, do you guys have any like practical tips? Like, I mean, reading Quran is fine, focusing on Salah is fine, but like something a little bit more concrete, more focused. Like, for example, you say reading Quran, like, would you recommend a certain amount of Quran per day for someone that doesn't read at all? Like we're talking a beginner that like even struggles with reading, like any practical tips you guys have? And it doesn't have to be about Quran, it could be about any topic, for example, but you guys have any practical tips you'd like to share on the podcast?
I just think put everything in moderation, right? So if you're going to start off with reading Quran, like don't put too much on yourself and try reading, so much in the first day. Like just try doing it in moderation, get the hang of it. Even with Salah too, like if you can't get the hang of five prayers a day, then start with 2, start with 3, and kind of just work yourself up to getting more consistent with it.
No, that's true. And then there is a hadith I don't know the exact words, but like it says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes action that's small but continual, and then rather one big amal or big action and then it stops. That's a very good point.
Yeah, big time.
Moderation.
Yeah, I like what Ali said, the moderation thing, especially because we've seen it so many times where like someone will go from like maybe not so practicing to like very practicing almost overnight, right? And then they last for maybe a couple weeks, and then next thing you know, they're back to their old habits, and sometimes like they fall back even harder than where they were before. So just take it step by step. As long as you're taking a step forward every day, doesn't matter how big that step is, just move in the right direction and eventually you'll reach your goals. You know, Allah knows your intention. Purify that intention first and foremost, and then put the work in, you'll find the results.
One thing that will help is that we start in this month. Like the month of Sha'ban is a month before Ramadan. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to fast a lot in this Ramadan, in this month of Sha'ban. And the companions would ask him, and he would tell them that the amal or the hasanat will go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this month. So he wants it to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while it's fasting. And it's just a very, like as we said before, I was talking to you guys about like how every professional league has a preseason, just to get the athletes back into shape, just to get the plays back, just to get out all those kinks and brush off all the rust before the season starts. So when the season starts, when it really matters, they're getting the wins, they're getting the 2 points, they're getting, the standings they want. Same thing with Ramadan. So it's like use this month as your preseason or your pre-Ramadan, and like try to fast if you can't fast, but start praying 5 times a day right now. Start trying to read Quran right now. That when Ramadan comes, you're hitting the floor running. You don't need a week or 2 weeks to get into the habit of things. Then before you know it, Ramadan is over, and then you feel that you didn't accomplish your goals or you didn't change the way you wanted to.
No, 100%, I agree. And one practical tip I would maybe share that might help. I think it helps me for sure is focus on yourself. And like, I know that sounds kind of selfish, but you're doing it for your own good, right? Your religion and your religiosity, your spirituality is between you and your Lord, right? So Bilal gave the example of like having a preseason or something. I'll give another analogy. Like it's like going to the gym. If you're gonna go to the gym and focus on what everyone around you is doing, and like let's say I see Buddy over there benching 3 plates and I'm struggling with 1 plate, and
Bilal Abdu, that's
okay, I get it, bro. But if let's say I'm struggling with 1 plate and he's benching 3, and then I start adding more weight to my bar just because I want to work up to what he's doing kind of thing, even though I know I'm not ready for that level yet, eventually I'm either going to hurt myself or I'm going to burn out and just stop going to the gym completely, right? And the same thing with religion. Like we might hear of someone that's reading the entire Quran from cover to cover in the month of Ramadan. And for some people that, like, let's be honest, maybe they never open the Mus'haf, they never open the Quran all year round except for Ramadan. It's going to be very challenging for them to read the entire Mus'haf from cover to cover. So go and work within your own means. Even if you're only doing, like a couple lines a day, not even a page, even if it's only a couple lines a day is your limit, but you're consistent with it and you stay dedicated. And another thing is you try to keep it going after the month of Ramadan is over. Honestly, you're a winner. If you can make that a lifelong change, that one little thing, and build on it next Ramadan and Ramadan after, then you're winning. Don't focus on the people around you. Focus on what you yourself can do. Fix what you got to fix for yourself, because at the end of the day, you're doing this for yourself. You're not doing it for anyone else,
What is some of your guys' personal goal? Like you need one thing that you want to come out of Ramadan with.
I don't know, I think for me it's
It doesn't have to be personal if you don't.
no,
want to
like not personal, but I just think for me it's I kind of like I want to start reading more Quran. Like for me, I've never finished the Quran before, and like I want to be able to read it and understand it, and even if it's me translating in English, like I want to be able to understand everything about the Quran and the stories in it, the lessons from it, and all that stuff. So I think that's one of the biggest things for me.
What about?
Yeah, kind of like what Ali said, is mostly the reading and understanding of it, especially the reading, I think. So hopefully I could get on top of that.
It's the reading is tough at first.
Yeah.
But with anything, practice comes perfect, right? And there's a beautiful hadith too, where the Prophet ﷺ, he says about 2 people. He says one who recites the Quran but struggles in reading, struggles in the recitation, and they're almost like stuttering as they recite because they can't really read the Arabic that well, but they continue and they don't give up. They actually get 2 rewards, one for reciting the Quran and the other one for persevering through that difficulty. And then the other person is the person who reads Quran fluently. They're still going to be getting that reward, but they get just that 1 reward for reciting the Quran because they're not doing it through a struggle and persevering through that struggle. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's almost like a motivation that the Prophet is giving to anyone that struggles with reading. Like, just keep moving forward. You're going to get double the reward. And, Allah's not looking for perfection. He's looking for effort. If we put the effort in, we're fine, inshallah.
Inshallah.
What's your goal?
I actually want to focus, like, the Quran is beautiful. And obviously, it's great to have a goal focus around the Quran. But this Ramadan is something, along with the Quran, obviously, I really want to focus on dua. So like, and for those that don't know, like, dua is like supplication, like a special prayer to our Lord. And there's a few supplications that we know the Prophet, peace be upon him, used to perform on a regular basis. So I want to kind of focus on a couple of those for this Ramadan and like say them in the morning when I wake up and in the evening before I go to bed. And if I can make that a daily habit and continue that, I think I'll be really happy with that accomplishment.
Mr. Producer Ahmed, what's your goal? Come speak into the mic.
Putting me on the spot here, but like, I think Quran is obviously first for me. I really want to, like Ali said, read the Quran and fully understand it. That's something I haven't done. I haven't took the time to understand every part of the Quran, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's good. I think my personal goal is I want to, like Yunus kind of took mine, is that dua. It's that, and another thing I want to do a lot is to pray sunnah prayers. Like, I found myself lacking in that department a lot, where I feel that I'm rushed. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to pray the fard and I have to go, or I have to pray fard and get back to what I was doing. So I'm going to try my hardest just to slow it down and just like to pray my sunnahs. Like, the sunnah is like the non-obligatory prayer, but it's very well like recommended by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to pray those extra ruk'ahs or extra prayers around the obligatory prayers. So that's one thing I want to get at. And then another thing is that I really want to get back into doing qiyam al-layl, or the night prayers. So after the last prayer, Isha, I want to try to pray extra more prayers and do much as dua as well. Because Allah, Brother Yunus said, one thing is that I noticed with myself is that I lack with asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for things. So I want to get back into that rhythm where I just ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before anybody else.
Yeah, and then the night prayers is going to be huge this year because with no mosque, there's no community tarawih.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right? So, and tarawih, so for those that don't know, tarawih is like a community night prayer. It's not an obligatory prayer, but it's something that like, it literally fills our mosques. Like, we have more people coming for tarawih than we do have for like the regular daily prayers, just because of the special feeling that it comes with and stuff. So missing out on that is going to be a big deal, but let's not waste the opportunity, and let's pray that qiyam al-layl in our own homes and make it a constant habit, because if we miss out on tarawih just because we have no masjid, then honestly we're doing ourselves a major disservice.
Well, I heard that they actually might live stream tarawih, and then people can have access to it like at home.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually. So they are talking about live streaming the tarawih, but there's something important to keep in mind. So I actually, Sheikh Mahmoud, he's one of the imams at the Al-Rashid Mosque, he forwarded to us a fatwa, so like an Islamic ruling on people listening to a tarawih that's being live streamed and following an imam like through the TV. So like if the imam is saying like Allahu Akbar, like you in your own home would just say Allahu Akbar and follow his actions. There's actually like a fatwa committee of Canada, and these muftis, these scholars in Canada, they came together and discussed the topic, and they after looking at the evidence and the Islamic rulings and stuff, they said that it's actually not allowed. So you can still listen to the tarawih, you can still listen to the recitation, but you cannot use that as your own prayer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, good to know.
I
didn't know that. I was just gonna follow, but I guess not.
Yeah, so you have to actually pray your own prayer on the side, And then if you want just like to listen to the Quran in the background, like after you finish your prayer, obviously, you can have that live stream there. Because I know a lot of people, they enjoy hearing some of those special Quran reciters because they have beautiful voices. So you can still get that benefit from it, but you still have to have your own prayer with your family in your own home. So the scholars did talk about that. I'm glad you brought that up, Ali.
Yeah, fair
But
enough.
like, so what if, because to be realistic, a lot of people, don't know how to read Quran or never memorized any Quran. So what should they do? Like, do they just go through the motions, or like, what do you think they should be doing?
So if it's a matter of not having the Quran memorized or not having enough surahs memorized, for Qiyam, you are allowed to read from the actual Mus'haf. You can carry the Quran book with you while you read, and you can read from the while you pray, and you can read from the Quran. So that will help you if you don't have a lot memorized. But then again, you'd have to make sure you know how to read. If you don't have a lot memorized and you also don't know how to read very well, just do with what you can. I know we're used to hearing a beautiful voice and like all these long surahs and stuff, but prayer is as simple as reading the Fatiha and just doing the dua that you have to do when you go into your prostration position, and that's pretty much it. Like if literally all you can do is the Fatiha, don't let that stop you from praying Taraweeh. Do what you can, work with the tools that you have, and then try to build on those tools slowly.
Yeah.
This is a good opportunity to miss the masjid. So inshallah, when it opens up, inshallah, all of us in droves go back to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because I know during Ramadan a lot of people are going to miss the masjid.
Oh, big time.
So hopefully inshallah that love and that desire to be in the masjid in Ramadan carries over after Ramadan.
Yeah.
Big time.
I think what a lot of people need to understand too is as all these lessons can be learned from Ramadan, it's also a month with filled with great memories and laughs. And I know, Yunus, you were telling us you had a 3-day water fasting story that you want to tell us.
Yeah, we can talk about some fasting stories. So I guess I'll start with this one since Ali brought it up. So basically, this wasn't during Ramadan, by the way. This was just an optional fast that a friend of mine on Ceiba at the island mentioned to me. So he had some of his friends in Canada and stuff. They had a little group chat going called Water Fast. And basically the idea was you had to go for 3 days with consuming 0 calories. So the rule was you have to drink only water, but you can also drink, excuse me, you can also drink tea or coffee, but obviously no milk, no cream, no sugar. So you have to have it black. And the other exception was you can have salt. So because your body actually needs the salt. So if you go 3 days without salt, I mean, it might not affect most people, but for some people like myself, and we'll get into that, it does affect some people.
So just a spoon of salt is what you're talking about?
Yeah, so what I was doing, I wasn't doing enough of it, was I would have 3 water bottles. One was a thermos and 2 regular water bottles. So one thermos with black coffee or black tea or whatever I wanted for that day, and then one with just regular water, and then another one with water, and I would put some salt in the water just so I can get at least some salt in my body, because your body needs it.
That's disgusting.
Honestly, it sounds
Water
horrible.
is not fun.
It sounds horrible, and honestly, drinking it wasn't fun, but you need it, man. I'll tell you what happened. So the first 2 days was fine. Actually, the first 60 hours was fine, because you got to go a full 72 hours, right?
No, we don't.
Yeah, well, at least
You don't have
for
to.
this.
You just chose to.
Well, I don't know, man. I wanted to do it. So, anyways, first 60 hours we're fine. On the 3rd day, right, so 60 hours in, that was actually the clinic day. So at our school, in your 4th and 5th semester, you spend 1 day in each semester at the clinic following the doctor around. And you gotta kind of come up with a case and all that kind of stuff, whatever. So me and my classmate were at the clinic for that day. And I told him about my fast. He's like, man, you're crazy. And yeah, I feel fine, bro. It's all good. I feel like I can go even longer than 3 days. So we go in and we're seeing all these patients and stuff, and it's fine. And then there's one point where we have to go to the emergency room, and we're dealing with a burn victim. And then out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, I felt like my head started to hurt, and I felt like I was gonna throw up. And then my limbs started to get heavy, my knees were getting weak and heavy. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna drop. So I said, instead of falling and hurting my head, I just chose to sit down.
I love how he was planning his drop.
Dude, I didn't want to get a concussion or something. So my buddy, he looks at me, he's like, dude, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. It's just the water fast. And then Next thing I know, I'm in the hallway. So now I'm out of the emergency room. I'm in the hallway. My classmate is like lifting my legs in the air, trying to get the blood to rush to my head. And then the nurse is getting me a wheelchair. The doctor's like looking at me and stuff. The scary part in that moment was actually I couldn't see. So when I woke up, like my eyes were open, but I couldn't see. I was like, it was pitch black and I couldn't hear properly. Like, it was very faint sounds. So I was losing my hearing and losing my vision. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? I was getting scared. So, but I realized, and I know this about myself from the past, I have low blood pressure. Even before this water fast, I had low blood pressure and I have fainted a few times because of it. So I knew the issue was I wasn't putting enough salt in my water and I wasn't getting enough water to begin with. Especially that day in specific, it was my third day and I never drank enough water at that point. So when I woke up and eventually like my vision came back, my hearing came back, I got up and the nurse like, no, don't stand up, you're gonna fall again. And I was fine. They put me in a room, they put me in a bed, and then a nurse comes in. She's like, okay, you gotta lay down here for a bit until you get yourself back together. Would you like juice or tea? And I'm thinking to myself, man, I still have like 9 hours for this water fast. She's offering me juice and tea. I can't have the juice for sure, but I can have the tea as long as it's black. So I'm like, okay, I'll have the tea, but please no sugar, no milk, just black. And she looked at me like I was some kind of psycho. And then she left the room. She comes back with the tea and she didn't say anything. She didn't like say, here you go, or hope you're feeling better. She honestly, it looked like she was annoyed at me. And then as she was walking, she puts her head back in there. She's like, what are you doing this for again? I'm like, it's a water fast. I'm just like doing it like for health, to kind of clean out my system. And then she kind of shook her head and walked out. So I like laid in that bed for like a good 15 minutes. I felt good again. Everything was back to normal. And then I looked at the tea. I really wanted it. So I picked up the cup and I tried to sniff it, like to see if there's anything in there, and I can smell the sugar. I'm like, man, like I know there's sugar in this thing. I know she lied to me. She's trying to give me sugar because she thought I was going to fall again. So when no one was looking, I dumped it down the drain. I drank some of my own water because I had my water bottle with me. I walked around the room a bit to make sure I was like able to walk fine. And I went back with the doctor and my classmate and I finished the fast. I was fine. Was
it
after
worth
that.
it?
Like the fact that you continued is.
Yeah, like you're pretty psycho.
I'm not shocked.
Honestly, look, it was worth it. I think honestly, it was one of my favorite experiences. It was an eye-opening experience. And
So you never ate anything for 3 days, is what you're saying?
no solid food, literally just
What did you
water.
eat after?
So they tell you when you do an extended fast like that, you should not eat like heavy foods right away. Like you gotta ease into eating. So I tried doing that. I tried having like just a Gatorade just to get some electrolytes in and like some almonds and walnuts and stuff. But then man, when I got home that day, I went ham. I had like 2 dinners. I had like lasagna, mashed potatoes, all that kind of stuff, and I felt fine. Like it was all good after.
Did you measure like how much you weighed like before and after?
See, I wish I did. I didn't have a properly working scale with me on the island, or like I never had access to one. But like some of my buddies like that were doing it in Canada, they weighed before and after, and like the average weight loss in their group was about 7 pounds. In those 3 days. It was crazy.
I'd expect more.
No, man. Like that's
For 3 days?
3 days.
What did
7
you-
pounds is a lot.
You expect to lose 15 pounds in 3
But
days?
did you keep them off, or did you, like, after you ate, probably came
No.
back?
Like for me, I didn't do it to lose weight. I did it more because I just always felt like garbage. Like my stomach always felt bloated, even though like I never ate that much.
We're just trying to impress your new friends.
Maybe that too. Like I don't know, man. But,
What about you? Did you guys have any Ramadan memories fasting? Just boring lives.
I almost got arrested during in Ramadan actually. It's 3 years ago. I was actually at Ali's house. We were having
Oh, I
or it
remember
was
this.
before we were hanging out before
Yeah.
before Fajr, and I was on my way back home with some friends, and we were driving, we were kind of being dumb, but out of nowhere 2 undercover Tahoes like bust a U-turn and just pull up right in front of us, and they just gave me a yelling.
Didn't they?
What were you guys doing, though?
We were just like switching lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just cruising, right?
Yeah.
And then I was at the time I was 17, so they called my dad.
At like 2 o'clock in
2
the
o'clock in
morning.
the morning. So I come home. Keep in mind, there's 10 minutes till Fajr. Like I have 10 minutes. I didn't even drink water. I didn't eat. And my dad just sits me down and he gave me a big talk.
imagine.
And he just told me, he's like, imagine I'm sleeping. He's like, imagine the police calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning He's like, what did you think I thought? And I was just like, honestly, Dad, like, here's my keys. Like, take my car. Like, he's like, okay, go drink water. You have 1 minute. I'm like, okay. Yeah, it was a big ticket too. It was $600 and 6 demerits on top.
Oh man.
What was this, reckless driving?
Yeah, it was careless driving ticket.
Oh, that's bad.
Was it you and Ali that
And
got
we
it?
got
No,
like
I
yelled
was
at.
I
like,
was safe and sound at home. I was
like this
laughing
cop was
honestly.
not holding back on me. Like he gave me a lesson.
Did you
Yeah.
fight the ticket at all?
I did. I ended up going to court, and it ended up being a $200 ticket and 3 demerits.
Okay, that's not too
The
bad.
judge was like, I kind of told him the story, and he's like, yeah, you're okay.
That's good.
It's just dumb.
Just dumb. I was 17. It's chaos. I was still young.
You live and learn, man. You live and learn.
Exactly. You live and learn.
What about you? Anything?
No, I just think I think like something that we all kind of relate to as kids. I don't know, maybe it was just me, but I remember like when I used to fast as a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, even like when we went to the Islamic school for elementary, I just like sneak like a cookie like halfway through the day. Just like, I just like have a sandwich and like
Just
like,
make a full on full on meal.
like I'll be at home when like no one's around, so I'll have like a bowl of cereal, like wash the bowl and just like yeah, like I was like what, like 10 years old, like I didn't really understand like the severity of it, but yeah, I used to do that a lot as a kid, and I'm sure like a lot of people have too.
Just to be clear, by the way, you're not obligated to fast at the age of 10. So you're obligated to fast once you like hit the age of puberty, pretty much. But a lot of us, because we grew up with our parents and stuff, and we see them fasting from a young age, we want to be like our parents. We start fasting with them. So a lot of people actually start fasting at the age of like 5 or 6, but to do maybe like a half day or something. I just want to make that clear. You don't have to fast at the age of 10, but a lot of us do.
Yeah, no, like I always felt like whatever, I'll just fast with my family because they all used to have like iftar together, obviously.
And it was so easy for you because you're eating bowls of cereal.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a breeze. Like, it's not even that bad. Like, I don't know why everyone.
As your family's like,
Yeah, like, I don't know why everyone's always complaining. Like, whatever. I'll have some. Like, was water gonna hurt me? Like,
Well, that wraps up our first episode. Thanks for listening, everybody. You could follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Dean's List Podcast, one words, and Dean's spelled as DEENS. That's Dean's List Podcast. And, share this podcast with your friends, with your family, wherever you can. We're going to try to make it big. And we can't do that without your help. And also, if you like any topics that you want us to talk about, just message the Instagram page or the Facebook page, and we'll try to include them. And also, if you have any ideas about Ramadan or any idea or any goals that you want to share or any questions, just a disclaimer that we're not shuyukh, we're not qualified to give fatwas or anything. We're just basing this on opinion. But if you really have any questions or anything, please go to your local mosque and ask the imams. This is strictly just for entertainment purposes and just to, learn as a group. So again, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Dean's List Podcast. And just tell us what you think. Thank you very much to our listeners. Thank you, Mohammed, Ahmed, Mohammed Yunus, and Ali for joining me today. And we'll see you guys next week.
See you, boys.